All right, I want to thank everybody for joining us. My name is Raphael James. I'm a reporter and a news anchor, and I saw something recently on Facebook that really made me do a double take. It was a group of kids on a playground singing rap songs. No big deal, right? Well, here to talk to us about that video that they made and their use of the children, Michael Fowler. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Michael Flowers Jr., sir.
All right. And Jimmy and Jarrel Smith, thank you guys for joining us. Tell me your involvement with the video that we're going to see. And Jimmy, you can start first.
Well, we used to go to this basketball tournament in LA, and one day there was this kid, little kid bouncing around, and he was singing all these songs this DJ was playing, and it had the curse words in it, and he knew all the words. And so later on that night, me and my brother just discussed like a little concept pretty close to what it ended up becoming, and we contacted Mike on how we could shoot it and the best way to go about it, and we all three of us just put our heads together, and yeah, so me and Rael, I guess, kind of came up with the idea, and Mike kind of came up with like the look of it, what it would like feel like, you know.
Were you pleased with? Are you pleased so far with the dialogue that is sparked?
But the dialogue is good. Even the people that are upset about it, it's kind of like at least they're talking about it. So because it is, you know, an issue, and it is something that we feel strongly about.
Okay, how hard was it to sit and listen to the kids say these things, even though you're doing it for a message? How hard was it to actually hear these things come out of their mouths?
You know, honestly, I used to be a teacher, and I live in an environment where I hear kids talk like this all the time. And so I thought that it was imperative that, like, for example, you know, we reached a point where the kids, they didn't want to say it because their parents were right there, and I said, look, if you're gonna say it, I need you to say it, you know. So it wasn't hard at all to hear it because we hear it every day.
All right, so be that as it may, tell me the conversation that went on with the parents. How do you go up to a parent and say, "Hey, I need your kid to swear like a sailor for me"?
So the parents, it was an awkward conversation, obviously, and it's, you know, you're asking their sweet, you know, child, you know, to say some things that are, you know, kind of wild. But you know, once I explained the purpose and explained what our vision was behind it, there was a lot of parents that said still, even after that, like, nah, no thanks. But there were definitely some parents who kind of got what I was saying and realized that, you know, kind of like a strong message needed to be sent, and you know, they were down for it. But it was about 50-50, and there were some awkward conversations. And
I knew it was going to be a huge message that we were sending out when I witnessed a parent, you know, tell us that she got the message, she understood the message, and she stands behind the message, but she's still not going to allow her kid to say it. So I was kind of like, you know, I didn't agree with her not allowing her kid to do it, but you know, that was her right. And I knew the message was going to be huge because she felt that strongly about it that, you know, she still wasn't going to let her kid say it.
Absolutely. And then to have that happen, and you have a child, you say, okay, I'm going to let you do this video, but when this video is over, I don't ever want to hear you say those words again. That had to be kind of a difficult conversation for a parent to have.
Yeah, we heard a lot of those. You know, after this, okay, sweetie, you know, this is it. You know, even my little cousin, she's the little girl at the end, the black girl at the end, and you know, she started like singing some of the stuff when she was leaving the set, and we were all like, whoa, like, you know, it's over. You can't say any of that stuff anymore. She didn't even really know what half of it means, you know.
Tell me why you feel so passionately about it. Why is this a message that had to get out there, and why is it a message you feel had to be put out there this way?
The message, we felt so strongly about it because we see a lot of this stuff on, whether it's World Star Hip Hop or YouTube, it's already happening, and we already felt a certain way about it. but we felt like we needed to express it in a different kind of way to reach a different people on a different wavelength almost. And you have to kind of say things in, it's such a harsh subject that we're dealing with, and in order to get louder than the abrasiveness that we're being attacked with, it was kind of like we had to get even more abrasive and get even more in your face than even, you know, the stuff we were combating. So it sucks that soft words don't really hit as hard as, you know, hard-hitting words at times. But we also felt strongly that, like, we didn't want this to come off as like something alienating rappers or villainizing them, because they're not the villains. You know, this is a village, and this is, everybody has their part. You know, we as the consumer are guilty, parent is guilty, you know, the rapper, it obviously starts with them because they're creating the art, and, you know, we just basically wanted to reflect and show who is suffering because of all of our responsibilities. So this is not something that we wanted to just be rejecting rappers and stuff either.
But are you any better than the rappers? In this case, I mean, you bring the music to the kids. Now, I've seen kids rap off lyrics that would make you blush, but they already knew them. They had already been exposed to them. In these cases, it seems like you took these kids and fed them these words and allowed them to recite them for shock value.
I've heard a lot of people, you know, say these comments that you kind of just said right now. Like, it seems like we just kind of took these words, like you said, and put it into their mouths. But we, you know, like Mike said and like Jimmy said, we've seen these kids, you know, on a daily basis cuss and use these same exact words that we've used in the video. So all we really did was just put a mirror up and let you see what these kids are really already doing. We didn't do anything. This is what these kids are already doing.
And also, in regards to our particular set of kids, it's actually funny that you said that, because we were actually nervous about it. There was this one parent who was like, "Ooh, I don't know if he's gonna say that line. I don't know if he's gonna want to say it." He was okay with it. He was just like, "I don't know if this child necessarily is gonna want to say it." And one of our producers went up to him and was like, "Listen, this is the line," and blah, blah, blah. Before she even finished it, he was like, "Oh, I know that song. Yeah, that's fine." Oh, wow. So, like, a lot of these kids, it wasn't really a problem. You know, like, maybe like a few of them had no idea what any of these songs, they've heard the words before, but they didn't necessarily know these songs. But the majority of them, there was a couple other kids too, that the majority of them knew what we were saying. It was just more so, can I say this in front of my mom?
Right.
I've heard this song.
It's funny because, yeah, the kids were, it seemed like, more comfortable saying it than the parents were, you know, saying it. That's a little weird.
Especially when mom's standing right there and gives you a pass. Okay, you're not going to get in trouble if you say it this time. It's for a cause.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine, and the only way I could almost make a little more sense to me is to maybe think of it in terms of the civil rights movement. There were some parents at the height of the civil rights movement who allowed their small children to take part in these marches, these demonstrations, where they'd be sprayed with water hoses and guns, and you know your history, you know the whole story. Is that anywhere close to being on the same level? Are we using these kids as pawns to spread a message or for a cause?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I think if I may answer that, I think, you know, one of the things that we're about, we work with Amusement Park Entertainment, and we as individuals and the company is all about promoting content that that's there to, what our goal is, to make a change, make a difference. And so what the question we're asking is, what are we really creating? With all the content that we're putting out there, what type of people are we rearing? What will our kids look like tomorrow? You know what I mean? And me working in the school system, I used to work in the school system. Me working in the school system, me working in the community. I see this. I see what the kids are like, and then in comparison to what the kids were like back then. You know, we spoke yesterday, and what we talked about is what if we had the kind of rapper like I don't know, like Eminem or Lil Wayne. What if he said, I'm going to change. I'm going to put out on every album, I'm going to put out 2 songs, 2 conscious songs, 2 songs that are about, you know, making a difference. What if they decided to do that? And, you know, would that catch on? Yes, it would catch on. Then you would start to see everybody doing that. And then what would that do to the minds of our youth? How would that change them? And the question is, the answer is it would.
Right.
Great point, Mike. I think a part of why we did the video, we wanted to let these rappers know, like, how influential they are. You know?
Exactly.
They're so influential. I don't think they realize how much of their music really hits the kids and hits even the adults. It hits all ages. It hits kids, adults, the middle class, old people. They're so influential. It's amazing, and what they say, a lot of people follow. So if they could just release more of a balance. More of a balance is you can talk about the money, the drugs, but also talk about some other stuff, how that affects the community, how that affects kids. You know, if they do that type of stuff, man, they can change the world pretty much.
Yeah, I think we just look up to these dudes so much, and they're so talented that it's kind of sad to just see the same exact thing on every single song.
And I agree. I grew up a preacher's kid. I wasn't supposed to listen to any kind of secular music.
Right.
I did. And like these kids, I knew the lyrics. When I got a little older, though, one artist really struck out to me. And Michael, we were talking about this the other day. Marvin Gaye. His What's Going On album really hit a chord with me because this was this guy who's at the top of his game musically, but he's in that album talking about social ills of the day that still exist today, frankly, and that just made such an impression on me. Do you see any artists out there who could do that? Now, Kanye likes to be edgy and likes to talk about societal ills. Can you see an artist out there who would be able to take this and run with it?
There's a bunch of artists who are already, you know, pretty balanced, you know, the Lupes and the Drakes and stuff like that, and Kanye's, you know, but the ones who I think are kind of teetering on the edge, who kind of want that extra nudge to, like, you can do this, are honestly some of the people we used in this video. Maybe not like a A$AP Rocky is a dude who's really intelligent, really personable, and you could tell. I think he could be a little more balanced than what he is, and I love that dude. I've been listening to him since he first came out, and he is like a lyric or two is in the video. But that was part of the reason why we put him in there, is because we see, me and my brother especially, because we listen to him all the time, we see so much in him. Like, he's not a dude who only is capable of saying the same thing. Like, he has a lot more to him that
I think. I'm sorry to cut you off. I think a lot of these rappers are intelligent and are capable of making more balanced music. I just think a lot of them are scared to change, and making music that's, you know, the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them are just too scared to take that next step and be alone on an island and say, listen, I want to make this kind of music now. Will you guys follow me?
Will positive music sell? I think that's what it's going to boil down to. Mike, you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah. You know what? Jarrel just said something that triggered a memory of mine. There's a YouTube video out there. It is Jay-Z, and he's with a young artist. And the young artist, he made mention of, he said, you know, I want to talk about such and such, but I can't. And Jay-Z said, why can't you? He was like, why can't you? And basically what Jay-Z was saying was, he said, look, these, there's a lane for you. Just be you. But the problem is, you know, you're so afraid that you're not going to make money or people are not going to like you. You should just, you know, swim in your own lane.
I think what's tough, what you're saying, Mike, is I think what makes it tough for the guy that Jay-Z was talking to is Jay-Z's already a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? So it's easy for him to be like, yeah, well, why don't you just go do it? You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
right.
I get where his fear is coming from, even though I don't necessarily agree with it. But I get what Jay-Z's saying. And I get why the dude is like, well, that's easy for you to say, Jay-Z. Like, you could say whatever you want on a song now, and you're gonna sell 100,000 copies.
I get what the young guy or whoever the guy was, the artist he's talking to, was saying. But I feel like if you can't be creative in your own right, or like you said, Mike, if you can't do you in your profession, I think you should just do something else.
That's true.
So, I mean, you should never be in it for the money or for whatever goes. Just if you can't be you, do something else.
And something you said, Raphael, about positive music. I'm not necessarily. We all three of us weren't advocates of necessarily everything in life isn't positive. You know what I'm saying? We were just saying of like an honesty and a balance. Like if you having a rough time and you just want to speak on some dark, rough times that you were having, that's honest. But if you're just every single song you're talking about partying and this amount of girls you had sex with, and you never ever have one song about the 3-year-old daughter you have and how that makes you feel that you're victimized, objectifying women, and you have a little girl, that's weird to me that you're not willing to express that. So it's not necessarily all positive, because that's boring. That's like nobody wants to hear an album on any genre that's just about cupcakes and ice cream. You know what I'm saying?
And most of it is lies anyway.
Like you want to hear the whole thing. That's why you gravitate towards certain artists, is because you want to get to know them. They're interesting to you. You want to see their whole world.
And you feel these artists out there are capable of doing that. They just
if you have a pulse, you're capable of doing it. It doesn't matter what religion, what orientate, whatever you are. If you have a pulse, you're capable of being honest.
Oh, I remember, and like you, Mike, I used to be not a teacher but a substitute teacher, and as part of a reward maybe for the day, I'd let them listen to a mixtape that I made of songs that were more positive than not, songs that were age appropriate. And I put it out on Facebook to some of my Facebook friends through my work account, and I said, challenge for you, give me a playlist of songs today, contemporary songs that I can play in a schoolroom full of 7 to 13-year-olds with no violence, no cussing, no drugs, no mistreatment of women. And it's very difficult for them to come up with a list. Can you guys come up with any? I'd love to hear them. I'd love to be able to put a playlist together.
Yeah, it's tough, and you know what? You'd have to probably go. Is it just hip hop, or can it be like any genre?
It can be anything.
Okay, well, yeah.
Let me retool that. I said anything, but no, seriously. Let's do hip hop. Let's do R&B. Let's do the music that our young people are listening to. Flo Rida had one, I think. What was the name of it? I Got a Good Feeling or something like that. It was a good song. I mean, it wasn't talking about robbing and killing and stealing and doing drugs and all of that kind of stuff. So I know there are some out there, but they're so few and far between.
I mean, if you look into like the Lupe Fiascos, I mean, you can go through his whole album top to bottom, and you're gonna get some good, rich knowledge.
Lecrae.
Wale's got a couple like here and there where you'll be like, where he's saying some real intelligent, DC stuff that's like something you could take with you. And there's a bunch of them. Mike, I'm sure you got some too.
No, I mean, you said Wale, and that's the first one that came to my mind.
Yeah, I love Wale, man.
Yeah.
There's and I'm trying to think. I know Drake is pretty balanced, but playing in a room full of kids, the language and words and stuff like that, maybe count him out. But he's a very honest artist. There's this one other guy who's on Lecrae songs that's really good.
Okay.
Too. Yeah.
And I guess at the end of the day, we've been talking about the artists a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's not the artist. It's the parents. It's whoever allows these kids to have access to this music. If you are an artist and you are appealing to an adult audience, like you said, that's what you do. It's real. It's your art. It's your craft. we should be able to respect that. But
Mhm.
at some point down the pipeline, kids are getting a hold of this stuff, and nobody's stopping them.
Because I feel like some artists say this, they don't realize that some kids don't have parents. Some kids won't have a mom, so some kids won't have a dad, and some kids just don't have good parents at all. So, and not to say that these artists have to, have a responsibility to say, well, I got to take care of, all these kids. But I feel like, when you're that high up, I feel like you do have to have a responsibility to what you put in your music, because there are going to be kids who have bad parents that don't monitor it, and I feel like you do have to hold some sort of responsibility with all that power that you have.
And at the least bit, just be honest. I think that was what we wanted to drive home with the video. It's like, we know this isn't your problem. We know these aren't your kids. We know that you're just trying to make a living. We know. But at the end of the day, just give us the least bit of just being honest, because we know we could at least get something out of honesty.
Well, I'm gonna challenge you on that and get you to really explain what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but how can you have hot water and cold water running out of the same faucet? If you're saying be honest and have a more positive message on the one hand, but you're also if you have a bad day or you're in the game and you're selling drugs and that's the way you survive, you're hustling, be honest about that and put that message out there too.
I think that's a good question, and I think as walking human beings, we're constantly a walking contradiction. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're the best of the best, you're still stumbling, you're still asking for forgiveness, you're still making your way. So as an artist, when you're putting out your art, it should come out the same exact way. It's like some of the best artists, you may, on one end, you may, just like you may want to eat fried chicken every single day of the week, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You can't do that for A, B, and C reasons. It's the same exact thing with like your artistry. It's like, if you're being honest with yourself, yes, I did this and that on this day. That's me. That's what I did. But also, this, that, and that is also another side of me. So
Being hot and cold is just life.
Yeah.
It's just everyday life is hot and cold. You have good days, bad days.
Bad thoughts, good thoughts, it's just, but you just can't talk about one of the thoughts without talking about the whole thing, is what we're saying. You can't just be a human and only walk around thinking you're only doing bad stuff all day long, every day, all day. It's like we are walking contradiction. We know we do stuff like that all the time.
You guys seem pretty young. Why is this a mission of yours at your age?
I mean, to be honest, well, like you said, we're young and we're in the kind of like in the know of what's going on. Like we as we go out and we may go to a club or we may listen to what's on the radio, what's in the know on the radio, and we hear a lot of this stuff that's going on, like in the clubs and maybe in a couple bars and on the radio, and it's just really just hit like a soft spot. It's really, the radio plays the same songs over and over. The clubs play the same songs over and over. And when you play the same songs like that over and over, and those songs have absolutely no good influence on anybody, with social media now these days, it's going to catch on with these kids, and they're just going to run with it. It's just going to double and triple with social media everywhere you go. So when you have this, when you repeat this kind of stuff, and it's a bad influence, it's just no good.
And I know for me personally, when I've always been like a Christian, and this is a little off topic, but I've always been a Christian, but I wasn't really taking things seriously. I didn't allow, like, I was just kind of under the name, you know what I'm saying, just under the title of being a Christian. And as I started growing with Christ more, and I kind of realized that some of the stuff that I do, you know what I'm saying, as a consumer, and some of the stuff that I saw around me, I started seeing things a little bit differently. And we both kind of were like, it kind of started off as something small, and then we kind of it started becoming more and more of an issue with us when we started actually seeing kids on the internet and out. Like, this is a reality. We can't just ignore this anymore. It's almost like we weren't allowed to ignore it anymore.
You know you done messed up, right? You know you just messed up. You're a Christian, and you sitting up there making the babies cuss. Lord, what is this kid? Let me ask you this, and I appreciate your time. I think it's a great conversation. what would you consider a win with this campaign? What is a win? My good friend Lance Watson wanted me to ask that question out of Columbus, Georgia, a mutual friend with yours, Michael. What do you consider a win from all of this controversy, all of this dialogue?
It's a win as of today, because the conversation is happening. Because we're having everybody to think about it. We're having everybody to talk about it. And the thing of it is sometimes I may say something, and it may be 1,000 people in the audience. But if Jay-Z says it, everybody's gonna hear it. And so that's how I feel about the message. Because it was the kids, they were saying it. Because the message was so loud, because it was the kids, and just like the same thing, Jay-Z saying it, everybody's hearing it because it's so loud. Because of that, everybody is talking about it. Everybody's talking about, everybody's complaining that it's the kids saying it, but this is what's happening in the world. So as long as there's a discussion, as long as people are talking about it, as long as the word is spreading, you're helping, the word to be spread. It has already been a success.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Mike as well. Like, we made an honest video of what we saw around us, and what we wanted to do was promote honesty. And the fact that people are being honest with themselves now and talking about it, whether they're in a rage, upset, or whether they're placing the blame on us or on an artist or wherever they're putting it, as long as we're being honest that this is a reality and we are talking about it. And at the end of the day, these are just words. These aren't going to make or break a child, but if we can realize the mentality of where these words come from, and hopefully with this video some artists can kind of not alter their content, but alter their honesty levels, if you want to say that. And if somebody, the way we're talking about it now is great. Everything from here on out would just be icing on the cake for us. The fact that people are talking about it.
Yeah, I just want people to really, nothing's going to change overnight. So obviously, after we get done with this interview, everything's just not going to change with artists. But I just want the artists to slowly, if they get a chance to see this, consider, they may not say it in an interview, they may not say it out loud, but just look within themselves and consider changing and being more honest, like Jimmy said.
This was done out of love,
Yeah.
We love these artists that I'm guilty, just like he's guilty. I'm sure Mike. These songs weren't new to me. I know these songs. Some of these songs I liked. You know what I'm saying? This is done out of love for a talented artist, and we want to see more out of. And this is the starting place, just people talking about it. So we already have the win, to answer your question. And if some of these artists could even be honest and get it and maybe see it, then that would be. And
we're not, like the point that came earlier in this discussion, we're not perfect either. Sometimes I sing some of these songs. Sometimes I have to catch myself like, yo, this is not right. I'll be in the car, I'll be driving somewhere, and I'll hear a song on the radio, and I'll even start rapping some of the lines.
This is all of our problems.
But you know what? If I may, Raphael, just like you said, this is not just for the rappers. It is for the parents as well. We've gotten several comments from parents, saying, ouch. I feel guilty. You know what I mean? So it's definitely, for the parents. It's definitely for people that are guardians that, we have to guard our children from certain things. And I think, sometimes it's music and sometimes it's, whatever it is. But I think it's also for parents.
We all should be taken down a peg by watching this video.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will say this, there's no feeling quite like listening to a song that you grew up with and you sang when you were in college or whatever, and starting to sing that song and then realize, oh, wait, no. It didn't sound bad then, but I can't sing this in front of my kids right now. You wait until that happens to you. Well, guys, I really do appreciate it. Is it the artist or is it the industry? Beyonce just came out with a hit that shocked everybody. So can this be done within the confines of the music industry, or does it have to be done maybe using guerrilla tactics, quote unquote?
It's tougher probably inside the music industry.
Yeah, yeah. I feel. Oh, I'm sorry. I feel like, to piggyback on that, it is tougher. I feel like in the industry, because I know some artists who have tried to go a different route, and put out more honest or positive music, and the industry won't back them. They won't promote their album as much. And so I feel like artists are afraid to go that route because they feel like the industry won't back them and won't put in promotion and won't be behind them. So they come back in and they're like sheep, and they come back in with the rest of what the rest of the artists are doing.
But the beautiful thing about art and music in general is if it's real and it's honest, people will find their way to it. It's always been like that. You could try to hide it, you could try to move it. If it's that dope stuff that like nobody can get away from, they just gotta have it.
Like the Kanye, Kanye Jesus Walks. Even I was talking about Jesus, and everybody
was on the radio every day, playing all the time because it was a dope song. It was the first song that young kids could relate to, talking about Jesus. That didn't sound like gospel music, boring to them. It was like, yo, I get this, And if you're doing something honest, you're doing something good, it'll find its way to where it needs to find its way to.
If you look at Snoop, for an example, Snoop changed his name from Snoop Dogg to Snoop Lion. And a couple weeks ago, I looked on the internet, and I saw a shift in his music. He went from talking about all the other stuff he was talking about back in the day, but then I heard him say ever since he had a daughter, his music changed. And I'm not sure if it was around the time where he changed his name, but I do know he said after he had his daughter, his mindset changed. And now, if you look at his music, I mean, he has a song with Eddie Murphy, and it's a positive song. So, I mean, it can be done.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for starting the dialogue. I'm going to do all I can to push it and encourage people to talk about it. I'll give you an opportunity to have last words. We'll start with Jimmy and Jarrel.
And any parting words or thoughts or anything I just want people to pull away from the video would just be, we don't hate rappers. We love rappers. We love hip-hop. We want more honesty from our favorite rappers that we used in this video.
This is not an attack on anybody. I feel like a lot of comments on the YouTube page were feeling like we were attacking the rappers or even the parents. They felt like we were attacking the parents. And this is not an attack on anyone. We just want everybody to just come together and just make more honest music.
Yeah, let's just all solve the problem.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say thank you to the parents and the children, and to our producer, Jarrel Smith. And I like to, I am also a hip-hop head. I love hip-hop. I would like to see some variety. I would like to see, more rappers saying something. You know what I mean? I want to be able to point to a rapper and say, oh, he's talking about this. I don't want all the rappers to be on one side of the room, talking about the same thing. I miss KRS-One.
Mm-hmm.
KRS-One, that dude was bad.
That's right.
So yeah, that's my last word.
What about parents listening to this music with their kids? What would happen if that took place? And had meaningful conversations about the lyrics?
I think that's better than just playing it and not saying nothing.
And then having the kids come up with their own conclusion.
That's yeah. I mean,
having them talk about it with their parents is definitely better than just having them hear it and just never bringing up the subject.
Yeah, because let's be real. These kids, whether you have really super dope parents or not, they're going to find eventually this stuff. So it's like, I'm not saying right when they're out the womb and they're just little infants, play them these songs and try to have some dialogue. But like at a certain point, you can't hide them from things, and you need to have an honest. And all we're saying is, let's say you don't have a parent who's going to have that honest conversation, sit down with you and talk with you about some of this music that they're listening to. We're saying it just starts with the artist. The artist can start it himself, with or without a quality parent who can do that.